virtually because it's a good, important meeting, as all the meetings of the river committees are. I think the first item on our agenda today, first of all, I want to thank Seth for setting up the agenda and helping us setting it up. So Seth, thank you. No, you're right. It's not Seth, it's Tyler. Tyler Smith. And I told Bina she made the mistake and then I'm making it. All right. I think we're, it's a null.
We figured it out.
Right. What's that?
We figured it out.
It's because you're awesome. You're all awesome. All right. So anyway, Tyler, thank you so much. I know we couldn't connect, but we connected virtually and I think we're on the same page. So thank you for taking the time to meet with Bina and setting up the agenda. First order of business as usual is to approve the minutes, if I'm correct, of our last meeting. Are there any comments on the minutes from the last meeting?
Then looks like she has.
Yes, I have a couple of them. There are a couple of misspellings. Audra's name is misspelled under town manager update. It's Adura.
There's another one.
And
Corrects that.
Adura, yeah, right.
Pretty also.
There are also Jeremy's name is misspelled in a couple of places.
Spelled Jeremy.
Jeremy.
Perfect.
For me.
Jeremy, yeah.
Right.
You've got one here.
Yeah, there's a typo on the bullet that can areas be retrofitted. And then with success stories, if you say by, but it should be but.
All right. So Bina, you'll make those changes?
And then
Susan has more.
I have
Okay.
on the library statement, under other business. There's a comment that it sounds like ideally the library does not want alterations to the park. It's more that we don't want alterations without input.
That's a great clarification.
Yes, and
That's a-
the other one is on page 5.
Do not make it, just
Man,
it's doubled 1, 2.
there was a comment. Under discussion around the Harbor Park, it says the library does have a lot of funds. We do not have funds. Yes, we do not.
Boy, things changed.
Yeah, we do not have funds.
Thank you.
So those are my comments.
Perfect.
Right,
Do you
if
have
you,
more?
if you want to do
Yeah, I just-
one little thing,
Yep.
also very little, under number 1 under new business, the last bullet, second line, the end with dams, that should really be the plural, DAMS apostrophe. You're not talking about one single dam there.
Okay. Thank you.
So
Yeah.
will someone make a motion to approve the minutes with the changes shared by Deb, Susan, and Ray, please?
I so move.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Okay.
I think the motion carries. Bina, I'm going to trust because I can't really see the whole thing.
Trust.
Trust,
Yeah.
Trust, but
hands.
verify, right?
All right, so it was 8-0, right? Is Richard on? Richard?
No Richard tonight.
Okay, so it's
We have,
8, okay.
and sorry, we have someone at the table who is not on the committee. What is your name?
I'm Susan Price, I'm a, Megunticook River property owner.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thanks, sir.
And for those of you from the public, there is a point at the end of this for questions from the public. So if you have, as you're going through things, something gets triggered, write it down, and then we have a lot of time at the end.
That you will manage, Tyler, today for me.
Yes.
Thank you,
Go
because
ahead.
I will have to, actually, I will have to run out before the end of the meeting to another meeting. I apologize. I promised to buy the whole committee ice cream when I come back to make up.
Deb is trying to scooch it here.
It can be put in the minutes. I will do it.
If I have questions, go ahead.
No, Deb, go ahead. You're okay.
If I have questions about something mentioned in those minutes.
Yeah.
It's not a
Yep.
correction, it's a question.
Ask away.
One of them is, well, it's just before questions from the public. Bina needs to get more info from Mike about that. It's about the view sheds.
Mm.
Do you have any more information about the view sheds?
I think it was, I need to get information from you all about the viewpoints that you wanted him to,
We were looking for the deadline for suggestions, and you were gonna get the deadline from
From
Mike.
Mike. Stay tuned.
And then in addition, because the spillway at the Knox Mill Dam is causing damage, particularly in heavy rain events, we're going to have to draw it down after a couple of weeks if we manage to get by a couple of weeks without rain. To be able to assess how much damage and with any luck at all, repair it. But it slams right into that wall and then the water goes right onto that big deck. And I don't know whether any of the consultants are interested in taking a look when it's drawn down, but I'll let you know when we're gonna do that.
Thank you. I heard briefly about that yesterday, or today, so that's helpful to hear it from you today. Again, because I was a little confused about that, so thank you.
Okay,
Excellent. Audra, would you give us a town manager update?
She also is not here today.
That's what I thought, because usually I would hear her. Sorry about that. So
I
did
also,
she
I'm
send-
trying to make sure that this is on YouTube, so sorry, I'm like texting a person to confirm it's on YouTube, but if anyone online wants to jump on the YouTube page and just confirm for me, there was a couple of technical issues. We started off fast, I'm very happy to be here. But let me just give an update from town manager Audra. She was reached out to by the building committee from the library, and they asked for a meeting with myself, Matt Bernier, Mike Burke, and Audra, I think, to discuss sort of what opportunities exist for the library in Harbor Park as it relates to the NICWIC funding and the river project as a whole. So I'm organizing that now, and we will hopefully be meeting with you guys shortly. One thing that we had, Audra and I were chatting about was we just assumed Susan would be the liaison between MERCAC and the library committee, but also if someone else wants to be there, that is of course okay. I was thinking at first, Tyler, you would come, but we can, whatever you guys think.
Would all the members of this committee be invited to that meeting?
Yeah, I think just in the interest of not having 20 people at every meeting, it would be ideal to start dividing and conquering these, because I think we're gonna start having more of these smaller stakeholder engagement meetings, and so I don't wanna close the door, obviously,
Yeah.
so we can figure out what that
Yeah,
looks
I don't
like.
think it'd be mandatory to be there, but I think all the members of this committee should be invited to any meeting like that.
Okay,
This is quote, the main committee for all of this.
For
and
sure.
we should be part of it.
exactly, and I think that's why we created liaisons and.
I agree, it's nice to have two or three sets of ears.
Yes, yeah.
my presumption though is that the purpose of it is to have certain principal parties interact.
Yeah.
And the rest of us, if we wanted to be there, would be more audience.
Right, exactly, yeah, exactly.
Great,
Good.
so I will set that up and include, I'll let you all be informed of the meeting and come, and we'll figure out how that looks moving forward for any subsequent meetings, but
Sooner would be best.
I know.
Bina, you want me to hand it over to you and Tyler for the new business and the committee updates?
Yep.
Mhm. Good.
All right, right on schedule, look at us. So I was just gonna have us go through, I think, oh, where's Elfie? That's who else we're missing. She was supposed to provide an update. That's okay. Let me change our 7-0 vote. Okay, we'll start with Education Committee. I will jump in first. So I chatted with Rebecca from Knox Lincoln Soil and Water Conservation District. We chatted briefly about the 3D watershed model and sort of their part in that and what that could look like. And so she's working out the cost and timeline to get something done. Speak of the devil. There's Elfie. And then we also talked about other ways that they could get involved. She's, first of all, very impressed with what this committee's done, so I thought that was good feedback for you all to hear. She also has about 1,500 subscribers in her newsletter, and so she would like to push out more of our information. But she also thought that one thing that they could help with is they've done a lot of invasive species mapping, and that she thinks that it would be interesting to do more drawings or renderings or work with whoever we're gonna be working with to show what it would look like if, there's, if impoundments are drawn down, how she's like, it could be so beautiful with, different plantings and make sure that it's native and the river and, so she was thinking about how to help have those conversations, which I think would be helpful. So she's on the Conservation Commission, so working with that committee to further that conversation and understand what that looks like. So that's one way that we would like to engage with them. And then I had Camden Library engagement, so we kind of went over that. I think there'll be more opportunities there, of course, moving forward. And then engagement with schools. Elfie, I know you just sat down, but we're going through some subcommittee updates and thinking about how we can engage with the schools a little bit more.
Yeah, what did we say at that meeting? I don't remember. Well, I mean, SEA is doing
And we have a
fair amount
booth.
of things.
MERCAC has the booth for
Yeah, right.
SEA.
What else? I'm sorry.
No, you're
I
fine.
almost forgot about this meeting, so frazzled.
I also heard that some students gave a great presentation on the river. Maybe Sophie or Chris, you guys can speak to it, but they spoke about sort of the very historical presence, or I don't know.
It's about the Wabanaki. What they want to do is have
Okay.
signage.
Oh,
along
at
the river.
Short Tail. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and no, well, not only at Short Tail, but throughout the town. And there's a really good presentation that they gave at the last select board meeting last week, and their PowerPoint is in the last package of the select board. And I would like their PowerPoint presentation to be added to the River Committee. And I also said at the board meeting that we should definitely link with them, because we had spoken about having signage along the river on First Nations and how they used to be here and their relationships to the river. So it might be interesting to join those two efforts together. And just for those kids, they're fifth graders, they did an amazing job presenting. They identified this issue, they researched it, they came and presented their findings and basically told the town, this is what you need to do to address this issue. And it was very professional. Their delivery was exceptional. I mean, these are guys we want to hire, to help us present some and research some topics. They were really, really phenomenal. So I know everybody watches the select board, of course, but just in case you missed it last time, go back to the recording, and it's at the beginning of the board meeting, and it's worth the 12-minute they spent, or 15 minutes. It's really wonderful, and I really hope we can work with them on this project.
That's great.
And I think the Wabanaki people from the Wabanaki Nation were involved, have been really working with that fifth
Yep.
grade. So it wasn't,
That's great.
yeah, it was looking
hired a-
there.
I think they hired a consultant from the Wabanaki to work on this project. So really, really, really cool addition to our stock of resources and ideas.
So Elfie, is that project going on then?
Well, what it was, so the teachers led them down the path of giving that presentation. And now she's like, it's up to us now. I mean, it's, that's where it has ended right now.
At the school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other?
Can we use them as consultants?
Yes.
They probably have some good input for sure.
I bet.
We should learn from kids as much as possible, I think.
Oh, they were awesome. Well, I mean, it's something to consider, because they came up in their presentation, they give a budget idea of how much the signage would cost and how it needs to be designed, and all kinds of good ideas. So we should think about a way to, and I have to talk with Audra and see if there's room in the budget to put it in a budget this year. It might be next year, I don't know. But I think, the whole select board was behind it. There's a lot of support for this initiative. So I think we should keep it on our agenda as an open item. And it requires funding, like most of the things we want to do, but it's a continuing item.
And then Alfie, any other crossovers you see with MERCAC and schools?
So the other thing, and I just also realized that, I haven't met with these people, but the other thing that I'm working on, again, with both my hats of MRCAC and SEA, is, an internship / independent study type of structure for a high school student. And I'm supposed to be meeting, we had said we would meet after February break, with two people who are the community, I can't remember what they call it, but anyway, community interface kind of. They help kids with just exactly this kind of thing. And so they seemed really interested in the idea of an independent study.
Cool.
And we were gonna meet and find out from each other all the things and we haven't done it yet.
We'll keep you posted if it would be helpful.
Okay,
So I
yeah.
wonder if this intern might wanna do something like invasive plants, since we were just talking about
Oh, it
that.
could be so many things, but
Yeah,
yes, right.
that
yeah.
might be something to suggest.
Okay.
Did you have a chance to meet with SEA? Since we met with the education committee to talk about, I know you were gonna have, you found funding to have someone at the harbor this summer.
Right,
And
yes, that's,
whether or not, one thing we discussed was whether or not it'd be appropriate for this group to have any materials at that booth or have that person educated.
totally did not bring
Okay.
that up with them. We have a board meeting next Monday, I think.
Okay,
Okay, so it's, what is it again, to have MRCAC information?
yeah, I think it's just a question of, it's another, you know, whether that person should be educated on the river system and what's happening with it, or if that group feels it's appropriate or not, or it's another person that's out there.
Down on the landing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the aquarium thing.
Is there a person there all the time?
It sounds like Elfie can.
We have set aside some money to have
Mhm.
an intern from the high school get paid to help with the marine park.
Mhm.
So that's happening this summer. We don't have that in place yet, but we just got
Okay,
that
fine.
money part figured out. And so the idea was to also have it, yeah,
A handout or
something like
something,
that.
yeah,
Okay,
if it's appropriate.
okay. Okay, I'll ask about that.
Thanks.
And then another thing we sort of tasked the education committee with was reviewing and updating the FAQs on the website. So we have, you know, our FAQs. We're also, I just wanted to think of a way to make our website a little easier and more engaging and simpler maybe in some ways. So we're trying to think of how to do that. We have so much great information on there and I just worried it all keeps getting buried, and so trying to think of ways to showcase different
Yeah,
pieces. So
Has there been any additional conversation on part of the group or all of the group about social media? I mean, it keeps coming
yeah,
back.
we're gonna get there when it comes to the written communication committee.
Aha. Speeding ahead.
As you do.
As I do.
Zoomer.
What did you feel like was the issue with the FAQ section?
We get a lot of the same questions in our emails and say like, I can't find this on the website, and so I just wanna make sure that the information's on the website, and that it's captured well, and that it makes sense, and that it's like, you know, is it in the right terms, or is it broad, or is it too vague, or is it too scientific, or is it too, you know, like, how can we make sure that that language is appropriate in answering the questions that people have? And we're reviewing it, but I was just trying to think of ways that we can make sure that the committee is aware of what's on there too, and then.
I mean, is there maybe a way to make it sort of the first thing you see when you pull up the website, so it's just a little bit more accessible? I mean, I think it's pretty accessible, but I also probably look at the website more than the average person. So,
Same.
yeah, so
Do
maybe
you
there's. a way
want
to
all
just-
of us to look at the FAQs?
Sure. I mean, more
Why not?
feedback.
I mean, I feel like it's pretty comprehensive. The way that it's broken down right now feels
It's good.
like, yeah.
Could you
really
put
well done, personally,
the
but-
top questions somewhere, like
Mhm.
only
It's
top
done.
questions?
Yeah,
Add like a new page just for that, and then, or just put that at the very top of the FAQs and
yeah.
we can go around it.
Yeah, I mean, right now they're sort of broken down by subject, which feels helpful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
I would
Go
guess-
ahead, Ray, sorry.
I would guess one of the problems is somebody sends in a question, okay, and they go to look for the answer, and if it's already been answered somewhere else, they're looking for their answer to their specific question,
Their own
and
wording.
they're not finding the answer to that. They gotta search for, oh, somebody else asked about ducks in the river
Right, right.
or something like that. And, that'd be frustrating, and I don't know how you get around that.
Yeah,
Is it possible to do like a control F, find?
I don't know. I would assume so, but
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that might be
yeah, right,
duck.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good.
Maybe we could use
Alright.
tags.
yeah, what's up?
Maybe,
Okay.
maybe Julia can use tags, can put tags on the. So people can just type in a tag and they can see everything about ducks or everything about invasive species or
Yeah.
everything about them. So there's a way to, because I don't think it's very efficient to have every question written exactly in the words that people are looking at. And people are used to using FAQs. They know, they're not going to find exactly. FAQs are like a subway line, rarely, the stop is rarely right by your house, but you're going to try to look for the nearest one.
She's in New York.
So Bina, somebody in your group actually does this, right?
Yeah.
Receives the questions, figures out whether they've been asked before, slots them in the right place. I was trying to think, following up on Courtney's suggestion, if you, instead of just eliminating if it seems to be repeating, put that kind of question in that most often asked box at the top.
Yeah,
That might help some people find what it is they're looking for rather than just word by word.
yeah.
What is exactly the process if somebody sends in a question and
Most of
it
the time,
feels
I just
like?
respond to it.
Okay,
And I-
well, that's what I was curious, is it just sort of, it's already been asked, therefore no response?
No, I never just
Okay.
leave an email. Just kidding.
I didn't think so, I didn't mean to be insulting.
It's already,
Yeah.
and sort of not gonna respond. No, I often, they'll submit a question and I'll say, here's the quick answer. Also, there's more information on the website.
Gotcha, okay,
And,
perfect.
whatever,
I mean, that seems like a pretty comprehensive response.
but I just wanna make sure that you guys are all also aware of what's in the FAQ section, so that, cause I think sometimes people say like, oh, I talked to some folks in the river committee and they, whatever.
Yeah.
Didn't know this or that, so, yes.
And one quick thought / suggestion. I was looking at the website the other day and looking for the newsletters, and it's under, committee materials, I think, but I
We're
was wondering.
changing that, cause we also were like, these newsletters need to be like front and
They
center. And we
do.
made them so that, cause the way that you had to click before made no sense.
Right,
And so now they're like little
It is,
icons,
it's better
which
now.
looks better,
I
but now
like
we
it.
wanna like move it out, and so that's like on
Or
the
just
front page.
write newsletters
Yeah.
as a topic even.
Yeah,
That might help.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same page.
No, I like it though. Any other thoughts or edits or suggestions or things for the website? Cause I think I keep sending a lot of people there and I just wanna make sure that it's a place that we all agree with, and that the information is where you guys want it to be. Okay, moving along. Written communication, so another thing we've been talking about is that the newsletters you guys we've made are beautiful, and I think we don't need to keep doing it at the same, I think, at this point, we're kind of looking for material, we're not having as many speakers, and so one thing I was thinking is let's do maybe less of them and have them be more in depth, so like, let's do all one on Knox Dam, let's do the next, all in on Milton, all in on Powder, like, go all in on the dam specifically, instead of like broad based, that was just one idea I had, and also sort of repurposing a lot of the information that we've had, because I think some people are just getting engaged now, which is great, and so let's make sure that they're not, expected to have read all 13 newsletters and that, not that they have to be read, in order, but I think just making sure that we're sort of repurposing old material and thinking how we can make our newsletters most effective moving forward, because.
I definitely like the idea of picking a dam at a time and really kind of going through all of the information. I think that'd be helpful to citizens personally.
A dam at a time, or we're gonna put a couple,
Yeah, it may not be that they all
need
need a solo highlight, but yeah.
We only have a few months left.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything went to the Olmsted, I think, are we still doing the Olmsted?
Yeah, I'll give an
Yeah.
update on that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But also I think we were talking about, putting more Q and A in there. So, picking a few Q and As every time and adding that, so that's, I think, a good idea. And then we also do a little
blurb at the end that's, you know, recapping the meeting.
Not highlights from
Yeah,
pages.
exactly. Very good.
Yeah.
Did you wanna do them less often? Is that? Part of me thinks so, but then now that you mentioned them on thing, I'm like, we just, make them shorter. Yeah.
Maybe take some of the frequently asked questions and make that a page.
Yeah,
It does, I think all of this, everything we do bears repeating.
Mhm.
Because-
totally.
Totally, especially the ones that are continually asked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good to know what those are.
Yeah.
And then social media,
Can I get back to one point about that? If we're gonna do newsletters on the dams and say, okay, the first one's gonna be on Knoxville Dam or whatever. I would suggest that members of this committee be allowed to submit some questions for that.
yeah, oh, that's a good idea.
Instead of just having, oh, let's regurgitate different other questions that have been asked in the past. And I think some of us have other contacts that we can get some good questions for. And maybe get around the problem we have with the frequently asked questions, where people are.
Yeah, and I think
getting the
not to jump ahead in the agenda, but that the next thing that says next steps, so I think how I foresee the next couple months going is, so we're gonna do these intercollegiate FBE have in our scope of work that we're going to go look at Knoxville Dam and say, you know, we're doing this at all this things, but we're gonna start with maybe Knowlton or Knox.
Yeah.
And have a group of stakeholders from that area, get into the nuts and bolts, and then have a charrette session. And then this committee makes a recommendation, based on all the information you've learned so far, those events that we're gonna have, and then makes a recommendation to the select board of what should happen next. And so that could be part of how these newsletters roll out is, you know, we've learned this over the last year and a half. We had these sessions and we saw these drawings and we worked with the, you know, abutters and we talked to these people. And based on this information, this is our recommendation, and these are some facts and figures and diagrams and whatever. And how we came to that conclusion. So that's one idea I had of how that can all, you know, kind of coalesce and come together. Yeah.
I would like to make the suggestion, we start with Montgomery Dam, because that's the one that's the time constraint,
Yeah.
and that's the one we really need to have a warrant for.
Yeah.
And if people keep coming back with, well, I don't like this design, or I don't like that, we have time
Yeah.
based on what the input and the feedback is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really concerned that we get this.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Look at.
proceed upstream from
Yes.
the harbor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good, thanks.
Start with the easy one first. I like that.
There's a limit to the conversation, correct?
It's all fun. We wouldn't be here if we didn't love it. Okay, so newsletters, we're good. Social media, do you want to give an update on?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
No pressure.
no problem. So there was some discussion about creating a Facebook page. I have done that. I naively thought that you could turn off comments, which would make it so much easier for us to just like send out information, but you can't. So I don't know what we really, I mean, do you know how to do it?
You can turn off comments.
You can?
Yeah.
Okay,
There's
maybe,
definitely a way to do
maybe
it.
yeah.
If you wanna.
I've never made
add
one
me
before,
as
so,
an admin
okay,
to
maybe
it, I
it's
can
a
work with you.
different type of page. Cause the current,
Courtney, I know you can do it on a business page. I don't know how
Ah.
easy it is on a private page, so that it might be tricky.
I didn't do the business page, so I'll try
Ah.
that.
Okay.
Okay, great. That changes things. But yeah, so we're creating the page mainly just to get information out. We don't see it as like a conversation that we want to have because we have the website for that, we have email, we have meetings here.
Well, and I think part of the disagreement before was that too many modes of communication can mean that one person saying one thing and somebody saying something
Yeah,
else somewhere
exactly.
else. So that would be more of just another outreach tool.
And Courtney, have you thought about, you and Ellen thought about what you would put on the Facebook page? Either, you know, the stories that you would spool out, what it is you want
I
to do
think it would
there.
be lovely to have at least a section of the newsletter that's the sort of bullet points from the meetings that we've had, anything coming up,
Yeah.
any events that we're having. I mean, it's nice to be able to share events on Facebook because a lot of people, that's how they get.
So it'd all be
all of
current.
their- Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we could put some past material on there too. If we want to fill some space, but I agree, the events is the main thing that's exciting about it, because people can just click add to calendar. 1 second, and add it to their calendar, and then we'll come to the event, maybe.
Yeah, I think a lot of the
So-
community gets their knowledge of
Yeah.
events from Facebook, so, yeah.
And with all the events and things that we've done, we always make like a Facebook or Instagram friendly thing for you all to share, so we'll continue to provide that for them to put on the social media outlet.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So for the, oh, you're gonna get to them later, I think. Yeah, the next bullet. About the groupings, the community meetings.
Yeah. Okay. And then beyond social media, sharing information through different channels, as I mentioned, I think that's a very important thing, because I think, you know, starting a following can be tricky, and you might be just speaking to your same people, you know, in the same groups. And so I think sharing information through different channels is really, really important. And so that's why when Knox Lincoln said that they would be happy to share, I thought that was great. They have a lot more followers than we do. Megunticook Watershed Association also always puts out our information. I'll give you an update on them in a minute. But I think thinking of other groups that can share our information, like SEA or whoever, you know, I think that's also always something we should be thinking about. And on those lines, Sophie, do you want to share your Dan Dunkel conversation?
Sure, I ran into Dan Dunkel in town, I think it was last week. And he's very interested in how the project is going and would love to do another feature in the Camden Gazette, so we can reach out to him with ideas. But he says he doesn't have time to parse through the website, but he checks it out once in a while. But he would love to do another feature, and so if we want to select a topic and reach out to him, he would support that. And
That
and
made me wonder,
he assured
like-
me it would be in the bipartisan fashion.
And I guess I was wondering like who he should meet with. Would it be? Who would want to do that?
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
it
maybe
depends. I
someone-
mean, we can use it, you know, basically they're looking for content, right? So anytime we want to reach out to them with an idea for a story or to follow us on one of the visits of the dam, I think it would be super valuable, and maybe that's what we want to do. But so I'm putting it in the ear of the committee, and if you have an idea of how to leverage, because the paper, now that it's distributed to every mailbox in Camden, it's really a powerful tool, a powerful outreach tool for the river committee to share information, messages, events, update, and also have a full feature in the paper. So let's think about how we can use it.
Would be great if he do one of his front page stories on those charrettes, the
Yeah.
community meetings.
Yeah, I agree.
More than one, probably.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, we should just
Would
keep
it-
a running list of ideas and keep him posted.
Sophie, would it be, or to everybody, would it be interesting, do you think, to the citizens, if we just summarize what we've been up to and, you know, have little, you know, blurbs on different topics that we've addressed, like a broad summary for one of them, and then maybe go deeper into features?
Yeah, I mean,
later?
Ellen and Rick's presentation was a showstopper, so we should.
That might be a little
We
puffed
could
up.
You're
provide
getting
something-
calls from across the country.
Totally.
They're on
provide
a tour.
something-
They're going on a tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm also thinking, you know, Bina, we're gonna resume with the nicer weather earlier in the season. Climate change, thank you. I think it would be great if we could have kind of like a 3-part story, like reaching out to Dan and say, hey, we want to have another maintenance or operations visit of the dam, or whatever it is we want to bring people to, have him come on site with us and take pictures of people gathering and asking questions, and then maybe having like a exposed short interview with a member of the committee or members of the committee, say, hey, what did you think? How did you think the event went? But were you surprised with some questions? Whatever, something a bit, we need to use it for some really good exposure.
Yeah.
and maybe combine it with some of our on-site visits. So
Yeah.
I think it requires a little bit more brainstorming, but it's available to the committee.
Great.
I just think as far as Camden Herald goes, when we do have these stakeholder and butter meetings and everything, that's really the news item, and it's really, it was an article that either Dan Dunkel can write, or we can help him write it or whatever. That's what really should be done.
Yeah,
That to me is more important than going back and rehashing stuff that's already been in there.
yeah.
Because he did articles on his two speakers we had up at the camp. He's had other articles in there.
Yeah, no, we've definitely invited him to
Right.
everything and anything.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But no, it's a good reminder to make it more of a story, like you're saying, Sophie and Ray.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, can we move on from written crew? Yeah, so events, I know you all know, but we are not doing Riverfest, which is sad in some ways, but I think makes a lot of sense in other ways. If anyone has questions.
All right. Why don't
Speak
you
now.
tell everybody why you decided to?
Yeah, so I think, I was hearing a little bit from the community that maybe it was being seen as like, or MRCAC is being seen as an advocacy campaign, and I wanted to not let that be the message. And I think it's out of the scope and sort of the budget, honestly, of FBE's work. And if it was all gonna be, paid for by some bank, then cool, let's do it. But if we were gonna have to spend 100 hours to raise 100 hours worth of dollars, and I didn't think that the best use of time and money for us, and it seemed like it was kind of falling flat in terms of how we were pushing it out in the committee, and as soon as I started asking the committee, everyone was like, yeah, let's not do it. So I think the events committee was excited for it to not continue, and that's, we need to keep things going. So I think my idea is to, this is what works with a lot of other communities we work in, is go where people already are. There's already great events in this community, and how can we show up to those events, and what does it look like when we show up to an event? How do you guys want to be, perceived, and how do you want to present yourselves, and, thinking about SCA fair, or thinking about, working with that person that might be at the harbor. We have these beautiful posters, that are just factual. I think this is, we're gonna share information, and sometimes people may not like the information, and that's going to be something that, you all will have to navigate. And so let's find ways to show up at events and feel good about it, and be confident in what, the MRCAC has done, because I think you guys have done amazing work. And so I would love to brainstorm what events are coming to Camden. How do you want to be there? What does it mean to show up at an event, and why do we, I think always, the question I always go back to is like, why are we here? What's the point of us being here? And so if you can answer that and be confident in that answer, then you should show up. But if you can't, then don't do it.
I think, they have listed on Facebook the opening day for the farmer's market as an event, which might mean that more people are showing up because it's clear the day that they're opening, so that
Yeah.
might be a good.
It's in May sometime,
Usually it's the last.
the last Saturday.
Yeah,
in
it's
May.
either late April or, yeah, I can't remember, but that might be a good time to plan to be there because it's already listed as an event
Perfect.
day, so.
Is that the same day as Fish Migration Day? International Fish
That I
Migration
don't
Day,
know.
which is May 25th.
Seth would know.
Yeah. But it could be.
He's shrugging.
It could.
That's not.
Well, there's often a cleanup in Camden on Earth Day,
That's
and
right.
I wonder if we could do something along the river. I walked along the pathways back by the skate park, and it's terrible.
I
There's
bet.
all kinds of trash and stuff, and I wonder if some of us could work on a cleanup along the river. And
Maybe instead of a meeting, we can go clean up the river.
get some
Have fun with that.
input from people,
Get
just,
Dan to report on it.
yeah,
There you go.
but
There's also a cleanup after
exactly, so you could do pathways.
Sorry,
There's
go
also-
ahead, Sophie.
there's also a cleanup after the Duck Derby,
Yes, it's true.
That's true.
and it'll be,
But
It'd
the
be
Duck
nice
Derby
to have it
itself is
clean
an event.
before, yes.
we empty the impoundment after the
Oh,
Duck
on the
Derby.
Megunticook.
Yeah.
Yeah, to recover the stragglers, are they called, those ducks?
Yeah.
Didn't know we had a duck derby. Me?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Rotary?
Do you, does someone wanna, since you brought up the farmer's market, do you wanna get a booth or figure out what we need?
Sure, I can do that.
Sweet. And then Earth Day, do you know if there's like a gathering place, or would it be more, we would show up and clean and be part of it that way instead of more?
Somebody organize that centrally now in Camden.
Well, there's,
Allison McKellar. Allison McKellar, maybe?
She probably knows.
Alison does, yeah. And the Rotary, one of the Rotaries is involved, isn't it?
Probably.
I was gonna say, there used to be one at Hanford, I think, that they
Right.
gathered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll look into that.
Yeah.
And then SCA Fair, like I said, we do have a table. I'll send out sort of a sign up sheet to make sure that we have coverage at the table. People would much rather see you guys than me, so I want you all to be.
You're too modest.
Great. Anything else in terms of events in the community?
About the select board election. Do we want a table?
On June 5th.
Yeah.
Yeah, seems like a good idea. Yeah.
Since I'm on the events committee and everything, and we've done away with the River Fest now, what are we supposed to do?
I mean, find events that we should go to and find the events that we should go to. Fine, like, I guess I could give, maybe I should give.
Yeah, I think
them
they could be small. I mean, they could be like the table at the farmer's market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which we did.
Just being out the community.
We did the first time. When we
Yeah.
first
Last
started.
year.
Yeah.
And you wonder if you can't section up the river, like, you know, the section on, near the skate park, clean up, because I know some people have signed up and said, I'll clean up my road or my street that I live on.
Yeah.
And just whenever they get the time to do it, within a week or two, they
Right.
do that.
Or the section by Cannery Park.
Yeah, right. In other words, maybe take a look and see if we could section up some areas along the river or whatever.
Okay. You know, as far as like Earth Day and cleanup and everything, if anybody has finds out anything about who's doing that for the town, I'll try to find out too, who's involved. I think the Pathways Committee has been part of that in the past, and I'll try to be.
I'm in
There
touch.
was a Leonard Lookner group that
Or is
got
that, that's what I
together.
was thinking about, yeah.
Yeah, that used to meet at Hannaford and they were given bags to go pick up.
Yeah, there's several places, I
Yes.
think.
Yeah, and you just, I think you self-select an area that. you
Right,
want to
exactly.
with that,
And I'm
yeah.
just wondering if we can't do that along the river.
But I don't think this committee should be the one that takes over that. I think.
No,
we're
no.
Doing it, so
But if we.
No, but we
add
could,
it to
as a
something-
group, go do some.
Right.
Right, add it to it.
we can take our section, it'll be part of the river.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
in touch
there we
with Jeff Scott, so I can connect with him,
Great.
and
Jeff,
find out
yeah.
what pathways. is
Yeah,
doing.
'cause I would think Jeff has been involved in the past. Okay.
Back to June 5th election. Do you guys wanna have a table at something somewhere? Do you want it?
Look at that. Face of enthusiasm, you people.
I don't think it was, we had a lot of conversation at the last.
We did.
Table, election table, but obviously that was I think a bigger
It was a bigger election.
election, but
Yeah.
I mean, it seemed like people are walking right by you and sort of feel at least mildly obligated to have eye contact, so.
Well,
and they're-
Isn't that school budget vote as well?
Oh, is it? Then maybe more will be.
Yeah.
I think you're right, yeah,
But-
yeah,
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
it's a great idea.
Why
That
not?
shifts again and.
yeah, that wasn't hard to do.
Yeah.
Who has to check on that? Is that something Sophie does?
Posters.
What's that?
Audrey?
Or
I can take care of it. I can organize that, make sure it happens. Put it on my docket, Bina. Happy to.
Okay.
With visuals,
With
not just.
You know,
us.
I get great compliment of this stack of newsletters that have been laminated because I at the last event, Bina, you gave it to me and you asked me to bring it back to the town office and I forgot, so it was on my coffee table and we had guests and we're like, oh, this is so great. So it's a really, really cool tool.
Probably more productive at all of your, on all of your coffee tables, so we could do a round of, everyone gets a month at their coffee table. And they do look beautiful though.
Would any of the teachers be able to use those newsletters to teach?
I have thought of that being a resource a lot. I would think at the high school level would be a really amazing resource.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Great. Anything else with the events? Excited.
Wait, well, you were gonna mention the Olmsted presentation, is that?
Yeah, no, I'll say about that. So I chatted with someone, she's the president and CEO of the Olmsted Network, they're out of DC. Dee Dee is her name, she was lovely, we're emailing now, she has some follow-up questions, she loved our website, she got a lot of information there. It seems like she's talked to some folks in Camden already, so that was helpful that she's had some background. But she was considering having someone, a landscape architect from their group, come out and have a conversation with us about, like, you know, because my question was, what if Olmsted were here today, what would they, what the, you know, like, we want to honor that, and so, you know, with all the challenges, with all the now, what information we have now, what would they do today? And she and I talked about that, and so she doesn't have any answers yet, but she's gonna think about what that looks like and how she can provide, you know, some input or something for us. And so they might send someone out, or she might just have a phone call with all of us at some point. So nothing exciting yet, except that we're chatting with them. And there's another guy who was like a biographer for the Olmsteds. You know, I'm talking about probably. And so I think he's also, I reached out to him and he's gonna follow up with me. He was on a trip or something, so he's gonna follow up with me when he's back. So yeah, trying to, you know, because I do think everyone in Camden does appreciate and respect this piece of it, and so I wanna make sure that it's as important as anything else. So,
Dina, can we make sure that happens before the event at the Megunticook?
at the Montgomery Dam, yeah. I will see what I can do. She might not, I mean, I don't know what she'll,
It could be useful information.
for
to
sure,
have
for
at that
sure, but
meeting.
if she ends up being like, we're not gonna come.
Well, they don't have to come, but
Yeah.
have the conversation so that the
Presentation,
information is.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say, if she did come, that would be something
Be
that
super.
would definitely be newsworthy
Definitely.
for the paper. And,
Yeah,
Be huge, yeah, great.
I know,
I mean, obviously, the library would be super,
yeah,
Excited.
yeah, because it's important.
so stay tuned, I will follow up with her, I owe her an email, she sent me one this morning, I'll email her, so it's in my court, follow up. And I'll report back ASAP. But it was exciting that she knew about us, and a lot of parks there's a lot of parks, Olmsted parks in the country, and they're all going through a lot right now, so we're not alone. Okay. Moving on to next steps, so I also think that Montgomery Dam should probably be the starting point. But I need to work with Mike Burke and other, you know, there's a lot of moving parts here, and so he's contracted a landscape architect to help with Knox and Knowlton, and we were gonna, you know, there's some different pieces that we're trying to figure out. And so I need to work on that schedule, because we've sort of done Knox or Knowlton, Montgomery, and then Knox or Knowlton was how we were gonna do it, just to switch it up and make sure that we're are engaging appropriately. But one thing that with the abutter outreach, so Tom Hedstrom and I have been talking more, and I think he would like to have us go have some conversations with folks in the downtown area. And Tyler and I were talking about this when we were bringing on the agenda, and having him sort of involved in some of those conversations as well could be really helpful. You know, he has a relationship with them and he's on this committee, so I think just making sure that we're all communicating effectively. Having conversations with stakeholders, and you know, MDOT is a stakeholder as well, and so making sure that we're coordinating with whatever project that, you know, the bridge project they have. And then just continuing a butter outreach, and when we come to Knox and Knowlton, we'll definitely, you know, chat with you guys to make sure that we're reaching out to the right people and that we're doing the proper outreach. And, you know, I know that it'll feel a little, some meetings will probably want less than 20 people in, so that we can have like a really functional conversation, and then some are gonna be really open. And I don't ever want it to look like we're closing the door on anyone, but I just wanna make sure that we're also, you know, I do a lot of these facilitation projects, and once you get above 20, it's not productive, and so I wanna make sure that we do have a productive conversation, and so making sure that you have diverse sets of ideas at the table is important, so I think that's.
Are you planning one event per dam
So the
or
way that
multiple events?
the way that Meg Burke and I had initially scoped it was the first one would be very nuts and bolts, very technical. The second one would be more more of a charrette, you know, make sure that we understand how any changes would still fit within the fabric of the community and understand the change, you know, what that looks like and have it be more of a back and forth and a conversation. Whereas that first one is more of like, this is the scope of the work, these are the technical details, moving on to a charrette session, and then maybe moving on to like a very open session.
So the first one's really a presentation.
I think so. Again, I need to.
Are you talking about per dam? Okay.
So there's gonna be more than one. Per dam, one
Yeah.
to three, yeah. How are we gonna, yeah.
Well, it's not,
Yeah.
so it's not a we, so don't feel like you guys have to go off. So
Oh,
this is
you.
just an interclude scope of work really. So like,
Okay.
they
Oh.
were scoped to do a lot of work. And so they're starting that work now. And we are working in tandem with them to make sure that they're, you know, doing this with the right stakeholders, with the right groups, and we're helping facilitate those conversations. And so MERCAC is a piece of the scope of work. This is a different piece. And obviously we want everything to work together, but don't feel like everything has to all happen at the same time. And so
So Mike Burke is the lead,
I would say he and I together.
you're the leads.
Yes.
Okay.
And are you picking out who the stakeholders are? How is that gonna be determined? Who's invited to these?
So
meetings?
I hear from a lot of abutters and stakeholders, and so I'm gonna, you know, and we have lists, and we've been reaching out to other folks that are, you know, who do they think is gonna be on the list? I'm happy to see you here, because now we get to have another friend on the river. And so I think, yeah, I can run lists by you all, I
I
can,
think that would be good.
Yeah.
So if there's somebody we know that has expressed an interest in what's
Totally.
going on, and
absolutely.
it's not on the list, that we can give
Yeah, I
that
think
name to you too.
Yep.
I think it would be potentially tricky with Montgomery to determine who the.
Yeah, I think Montgomery will be very different. When I'm thinking of these meetings is very much more of the Knox Knoll.
okay.
East-west conversations, because
Right.
it's a little more clear of who, I think for Montgomery, those conversations might be starting with the library group, starting with the downtown merchants, and then having different, groups in that way, and then obviously have some very big meetings with
Gotcha, okay.
to make sure that we are casting a wide net
Mhm.
in how we are, accepting information, or having
Yeah.
conversations. Courtney?
So I'm just thinking big picture right now, so.
Yeah.
You know, our task is to eventually create recommendations based off the information that we glean. And then obtain from not just, you know, research, science, articles, all this, but also from the people and from the abutters and opinions and things like that. So how do you think we can best get information from these stakeholder meetings to inform our recommendations? Is there gonna be an avenue for that? Or is that something that we need to think about?
Yeah, I think every meeting will have an outcome, right? So like the outcome of a meeting will be that there's some consensus building, there's some, we'll, you know, track those comments, get that feedback and have, you know, I think that's the whole point of them, is to help that be data to feed into,
Great, okay.
next steps. Yeah.
Okay, so there'll be, I mean, reports or, I mean, how's that gonna go? Or we.
Minutes or something
Yeah, like
taken?
notes.
Yeah, I can say that there's,
We can watch presentations and, but if it's going to be.
and I think that's why it'll be important to have at
Extensive.
least a couple of you at each of them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So are any of these gonna be filmed?
I don't know yet.
So I have two questions.
Yeah.
Do we know what's going to happen with the bridge on Route 1?
From MDOT's perspective, I don't.
Because I would think that also would affect anything that we do, recommendations we make with the dam.
Mhm.
And two, I'm curious how a landscape architect can put together plans when they haven't talked to some of the abutters to find out what they would like to see.
That's why we're doing these meetings before the land paper. Yeah, so like, that's what those meetings are about.
Because I think it's important to hear what people would like
Yeah,
to
that's
see
the whole point
before
of a
you.
charrette session is
Okay.
it's very much a listening session, and so it's a lot of listening, hearing, understanding what people are, understanding how to keep something within the fabric of the community.
Okay, good.
This is something we keep saying.
No, but just backtrack a little bit. Are you talking about doing Knox in Knowlton Street first or?
Well, that's what I mean, yeah, it sounds like a lot of people would like us to start with Montgomery beyond this room, obviously.
Yeah.
So I just need to
Right.
talk to,
And where will be the venue for these meetings?
yeah, that's to be determined.
Because I think being outside is not gonna be viable.
Right.
He's gotta have it in
I think there's different types of meetings with different types of outcomes, and I think there'll be different venues for what the purpose of the meeting is. I think there probably will be some that should be outside. So I think we can figure that out. And again, I think this is, obviously your input's extremely valuable, but I think this is something that can, Mike and the landscape architect and I really make sure that we fine tune and nail down. I'm just updating you all that it's happening. They're coming.
So I might also make a suggestion that with the abutters, that perhaps if you have 2 groups, maybe with the abutters, or 3 groups, that you change the times and the days, so that people who are working certain days or times can at least make 1 or 2 of the meetings.
Yeah, that's something we definitely noted.
Do you feel that right now the landscape architects and surveyors have captured the existing conditions? Like, do you feel in our proposals we should have, this is the existing dam, just, Powder Mill Dam, just kind of like, I guess, top of my head, but like that one, here's what the existing configuration looks like. And then here's what it's gonna become. Because I mean, some of these dams, well, I think that dam is, in particular, most people aren't familiar with at all. And so I think, and that's where, we had this discussion last week, was like, it's even one that's hard to use the term dam with. It's really like, it's like ruins that are in the middle of the river.
Right.
Most people look at it and go, well, that's not a dam, or,
Right.
so, I don't know, I guess the question is.
No, that's a
do
good
you
question.
feel
I don't
that-
know the answer.
From Mike's standpoint, they obviously need to capture some baseline just to create the topographic. I'm looking at some of the interfluve reports that they did, like on Sheepscot River. And,
They have before and after pictures?
well, they're quite, while there's some artistic representation, there's definitely contour lines and surveying marks, and it's kind of placed on top of, that survey, so it's quite inaccurate. It's not really it's an artistic representation, but it's based on.
Data.
Yeah, the big data underneath it.
And is that appealing to you? Does that look helpful?
I think for people that are trying to make a decision on it, I think it explained it very well.
Good envisioning.
Yeah.
Are we gonna have different design options for each of the different dams? I know we talked a lot about Montgomery, different options, but what about the other dams? Are we, as a group, going to have decisions to make on those, or?
Yeah, and I think, there are already some great drawings that have been done sort of in the feasibility study and on the town website. I was looking at some the other day as well, and I think it'd be great for this committee to just have like a workshop about like, what do we like? What do you like? What do you not like? Let's just like actually start asking those questions with each other and going through that together. So, yeah,
Yeah, I love
that would
it.
definitely be part of it.
Yeah, just to focus just on that.
I was also thinking, the presentation we had at the middle school a couple of weeks ago with Soamesville and
Farmington.
they had before and after pictures that were really cool and really explain how they did. And I'm wondering if we could ask them to share with us the designs that they used, so we could have the before design and picture, because sometimes those designs it's hard to understand how it will really look after. So maybe use them.
The design versus the reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess real quick, what did you guys all think?
That was stunning. Go ahead.
What was the question?
Did you find that panel informative, helpful?
Absolutely.
Extremely.
Very.
One of the
Very
best.
inspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like, they touched on so many of the questions that we have, that I felt were sort of pressing questions and their process was really interesting to watch.
And despite the difference in size and type, the similarities, the parallels,
Mhm.
were incredibly helpful. Just no matter whether you're talking about big tall dam that's very old, or I'm thinking of Billy Halpin's.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, in some of the, not really, I mean, it was just a fishway. But the learnings were all pretty much the same. The process, what came of it,
Yeah.
the turnaround in opinions. It was stunning.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
Do people feel that with the sensitivity around the Montgomery Dam and the aesthetics associated with it, that we're gonna need more than 2D renderings and we're gonna need a 3D model that needs to sit at the library or sit somewhere for people to see?
That would be amazing.
I think that would be awesome.
Or even a digital 3D.
Digital.
Yeah, that would be really cool. That would be cool. Okay.
Aren't there renderings that show some of the dams where it's, here's what it is now, and you can move it across the page? Those,
Yeah.
I think, are very helpful.
Those are.
Yeah,
On the website, we have them, yeah.
yes,
Was that the
exactly.
story map?
Yes,
Yes.
a story
Yeah,
map.
yeah.
So if you could do something like that,
From current
yes.
to possible. Yeah,
Mhm.
that would be
Yeah.
awesome.
With options.
Yes.
But I really like the 3D idea.
I'm,
Oh my God.
Everyone does, except the people that.
With water.
With
water.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm each stakeholder in the butter meetings. I'm assuming that we're just talking about those for the lower 3 dams, maybe the the Potter Mill. What about the other 3 where we're going to need, fish labs? Are we gonna have anything?
No, we'll
for
definitely work
stakeholders
with,
there?
so in the, yeah, well, for east and west, we definitely need to figure out what that conversation looks like. And working with the Megunticook Watershed Association will be helpful there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think.
Get the rumor about Tim true?
Yes, so Tim Trumbauer is leaving
Oh.
the Watershed Association.
Sorry, what?
Oh.
Tim Trumbauer, he's been the executive director the last
Yeah.
maybe year.
And he just
Maybe not.
recently ascended to that position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's
He's
leaving,
leaving.
yeah,
Is he leaving the community or just a position?
just the position.
Okay.
So is someone else gonna do the monitoring then?
Great
Yeah.
question.
To be determined, hopefully in the
I
next,
know it was a TBD, yeah.
Tim
hopefully in the
sent us all
next two weeks.
Yeah, Tim sent us all the data and we'll see what we can do with it, at FBE, but, yeah. We'll work with
Bummer.
the watershed association. We work with a lot of watershed associations and help them through this, so it's, you know, it's not the first time that a watershed association has had to navigate it, but yeah, it's tricky and you guys have such a, you know, so much potential here that it can be so cool, so hopefully we can, do you know anyone who wants the job? Am I a couple people? But, yeah, so, yeah, go ahead, Tyler.
I have one other item that may be a change of pace, but question about, I was talking to the town assessor the other day about the legal side of doing this.
Yeah.
And like, when I'm looking through a lot of these deeds, a lot of deeds reference, you know, to the edge of the river, to the edge of the impoundment. And it'd be interesting, and I don't know if that's you and Forrest, if there's a precedent that these other communities have happened where you have large impoundments that all of a sudden become a small stream. And basically more land is created that might not have had ownership before.
Then you have to do like that guy said in the presentation and move your fence the same day the river goes down.
But I think it's a question of whether these. I mean,
No, but if you're actually language about to an impoundment, I mean, like.
yeah, a lot of the deeds reference to the water line.
Mhm.
Like, the
Yes.
impoundment, so in a lot of cases, you know, it'd be interesting to see how that works
Yeah.
and as that moves, cause you may also have people, there may be people excited about gaining land as part of their property. There may be people not excited about it because now they have to pay more taxes. So I think there's
So I
probably.
question, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, in the presentation, of the different communities that have already done this, I was really interested to hear, I think it may have been Exeter, the property line was in the middle of the river.
Yeah,
begin with.
that's what I recalled, yeah.
And I thought, oh, that solves all problems.
For the ones I was looking at around the powder mill dam, they were not.
Yeah, so you.
Other than there's some other, there's some other questions as far as. I don't know how like literal lines work with regard to legal stuff on rivers versus ocean and stuff, and like I can't tell truly if the whole dam is part of the Shepherd properties up there, because the Shepherd properties actually does reference the river and the dam and ownership of that section, but the dam structures may be actually beyond some of that.
Right.
So there's kind of.
Well, this has been on our table
Totally.
for months. And the minutes have always reflected that it's being worked on.
I know,
Right.
and every time we ask anyone, it's like, oh, yeah, the answer's different every house.
Well, not in
Yeah.
the house, but I mean, the legal
Yeah, go
question
ahead,
that,
Bryce, hold on.
Right.
Yeah, I have a suggestion. I thank you, Tyler and Deb. I think what we should do is invite Mike Burke to maybe our next meeting, a meeting very soon. I mean, he works through these legal issues all the time, and I think we can have a Q&A session with him, and maybe we can find someone else, to be there as well. But I agree. I think we should put this in front of the committee. It'll be obviously discussed at the charrettes as well, but I do know Mike has a lot, he's worked on a lot of dam projects, so let's tap into that knowledge.
Tyler,
Would it
Go ahead.
also
Hold
help,
on, real quick. Sorry, Deb, real quick, Chris is gonna speak.
real quick, would it also help to maybe have Jeremy attend again if he is not yet from Camden's planning board to specifically speak to Camden's ordinances on that? I think it's a great topic, and I think it's very important. But since I'm talking just real quick, I appreciate the discussion that you were having concerning getting the abutters involved. I do field different emails, and the more that we can make the abutters feel and be part of the process, it's a lot better success. And if they ask the same questions or different questions, it doesn't matter. It's a chance for them to ask their question. So thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah.
We've loved talking to all the abutters and we'll always want more, so.
I would think having Jeremy be part of
well,
the
either
meeting.
Jeremy or Carrie, was
Yes, Esther?
the assessor, did he have any ideas or?
No, I think what they kind of responded that they'd have to see what the precedent was where this has occurred in other communities.
Okay, so there's nothing that they're aware of now that would.
I don't think it's an issue that they've had to deal with
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah, my understanding is I think everyone wants to know what everyone else is doing and everyone else is doing something a little different. And so it's not like a copy paste situation. And so we do have to think about what it.
Well, it may depend on the deed too.
Exactly.
Well, we need information about the deed, we need information about the tax implications, we need information about all of it.
Yeah, before we have meetings with the abutters.
Yeah.
Because that's gonna be a
And
key
I
question
think-
for a
Well,
while.
and if there's not a precedent that we can follow, is that something that then goes to the select board to determine how that will be handled when the time comes?
No one wants it to be.
Is there any state law that's helpful?
A lot of it's just to that, I mean, either middle of the river is what I keep reading, so, that it won't change. The idea is that it won't change.
Yeah.
It won't change, is what everyone keeps telling me, oh, don't worry about it, everyone thinks it's such a big issue, nothing changes when you do it, that's what lessons learned, I asked all 4 of those people that came last, or last
Right,
month,
I think
I
they
asked them
made
like
that comment.
directly on the phone,
So
so maybe
maybe-
the important question that I keep getting, what type, no, so that's why I know it feels like I'm kicking the can, but I think it's on the town to sort of,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
can't-
say, maybe it's a situation where the abutters would need some sort of assurance from the powers that be here, that like, not just it's always been this way everywhere else, but how it would be handled here.
So the town attorney wouldn't be helpful?
It could be.
Oh, attorneys aren't very helpful.
Rick's not gonna help himself.
He's given it.
No.
Rick's not here.
We'll strike that from the minutes.
But
No, but I think
he, go ahead, Sophie.
Sorry, it's a little bit of the case of we can actually address this when we start addressing those. It's really because we've spoken to a lot of people. So and I know we started gathering, Shanley is looking into gathering some information for us as well. So I can follow up on that. Bina, just remind me to do that.
But you're
go
right,
ahead,
the
Chris.
the town attorney may be able to answer the question and find out the information about the state laws as well. If this committee had, a couple of specific questions, like how to handle, is there a state law regarding how property lines are assessed in relationship to the side or center of the river or whatever it is? I mean, that would be a good thing to know. Or changes in that. And, potentially, again, if there are a couple of specific questions that could be delivered to Bill, if we want him to opine. But also, the local ordinance folks are important stakeholders in this too, and they always have a bunch of information, it seems.
Yeah,
I mean, it's an issue for coastal property owners too, because they're losing some of their land.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
Oh, large portions.
Yeah.
Deb and then Courtney.
If- My final thought is, it's clearly very important for the abutters.
I agree.
But if we're supposed to make recommendations, I, for one, would want to know what is the impact on the landowners.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's important for us as
Important for us.
well as for them.
Yeah, very.
Sure.
And we could even, if we're thinking ahead to writing the ballot question, it might need to go on there, something about it. But yeah, my comment was more if everyone's ready to move on a little bit, I'm just thinking about the calendar and timing and all that, and do we want to set up a time to do a workshop or something like that now, so it's on our calendars, and, we have, I think it's like 4 months until the draft is due, the recommendations, or is that the
I thought
draft?
it was due in June.
What is the draft? Is that the draft for the recommendations, or is that for the ballot question? Do you remember? The vote, yeah,
The date,
Good.
what
More than I
date?
thought.
it's on the billboard, it's in like late
Oh.
July.
I feel like the date.
Oh, it's right here, it's draft vote, rec,
And what was
so
completed,
vote, so,
yeah. That's for,
August.
and that's July, that's early August.
so end of July
Mm.
is when we wanna put the recommendations together. So
End
let's,
of July.
yeah, so
Yeah.
we need to remember that when we're planning these meetings and getting the information that we need. And then, when do we wanna do this workshop or two? Something to think about. And then the recommendations for the select board are due in August. Mid-August, according to this.
Yeah, and that needs to be updated.
Okay,
And I do need to work with Audra to make sure because she mentioned a couple dates today, like attending the supervisor meeting, so I wanna make sure that I'm
yeah, we need,
incorporating it all.
great. Just wanted to bring it up.
No, it's good.
Tina,
We need to think about.
as far as those calendar deadlines
Mhm.
or whatever, if you could, clarify those
Yeah.
and maybe send it out to the committee.
Yeah.
These are our deadlines, so
Yeah.
that we are focused on them instead of, coming to a meeting and all of a sudden saying, oh, this has to be done this week.
I would, yeah. Do that.
Okay, I think it'd be very helpful. I think it'd be very helpful.
Yeah, no problem.
And making sure our calendars have some wiggle room. Yeah, some leeway.
Okay,
Yeah, I need to, before we schedule, workshop, I wanna get with Mike and team and make sure I know sort of how that would fit into the scope of work in general, to make sure that it's,
Right.
excellent, give me that.
Right, because we need to involve Jennifer completely in our deadlines and all that, really make sure that we fit in.
Susan, so I have a question. Was the grant extended? Did we get
Oh,
an
yeah.
extension?
I know, that is on the, no, it's perfect.
Yeah, it's
Ready
better
for you to
for you.
go there, so thank you for moving us right along. We asked for it. They said, I'm sure it'll all work out, but I don't think we've actually been confirmed.
Okay.
But I've been told not to worry about it, so I'm not worried about it.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're not worried at all
Correct. Yeah.
about that.
And then that brings us to,
So,
yeah,
grant update is extended or will be extended for how long?
A year?
Do we know?
I think a year.
A
was
year,
the-
because we started, I don't know if you remember, but we started working on this project before the grant agreement was signed.
Right.
It was granted the grant was, we received it, I think, it was granted in June 2022. For 2 years, so I think it's gonna be extended until June 2025. but
Alright.
we'll make sure to, but
Alright.
that's not, it's not out of the ordinary. It's not because we're not doing our job or that we're
No,
late.
they didn't
to
sign
deliverable.
things
It's
for-
quite the contrary. It's really because of a delayed signing that
Fair.
we need that
Fair.
extra time.
What percentage of the grant funds have already been spent?
That's a
I don't know.
question.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I don't know, actually.
I was gonna say, this is a question for Audra, but it's a good question to make sure she comes with an answer at the next meeting.
Right.
So the extension just, is it time only? It's not
It's a no
additional?
cost extension. It's called a no cost extension, right? So it's just time.
Within that, you can apply for other grants to continue
Right.
the
Mhm.
cycle that we're on. So that's another thing. I don't actually have much of an update yet because I need to talk with the rest of the team along where we wanna, how we wanna apply for additional grants for the town, if we want to, and what that looks like. So nothing to update yet. I thought we'd have more by today, but so
Well, that would have to be a process of us recommending to the select board,
potentially,
or is there another way to do it?
I don't know yet. So
Okay.
stay tuned.
All right.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Tyler, did you have your
Nope.
hand up? Okay.
All right.
And then, yeah, this is a lighter agenda because I wanted us to have more time for conversation, which I'm happy about. The last thing on there is the Watershed Association update, which we kind of talked about. So Tim is leaving. There's a lot of data that needs to be analyzed. It's in FBE's email box currently. So we'll figure out what that looks like and support the town in some way moving forward, but we need to work with the town to make that work. But, yeah.
So
We
the
get a lot of
data-
questions about the water quality data. I would say that's one of our frequently asked questions. People want to see that data and understand that data. And so I just wanted to put it on here so that people hear and see if it's coming, it's out there. We just got it last week. And we don't have it really in our scope of work at all to do anything with it, but we obviously want to support the town in any way we can. So we'll figure out how to do that. Yeah.
Other towns, it's not on the agenda.
Open up.
But that's another one of those things we've talked about on more than one occasion.
Yeah.
There are other towns that are interested in and abutting the water system we're talking about.
Yeah.
What are our plans
Mhm.
for reaching out or bringing them in, either to a meeting or something?
Yeah, that was something I actually was on the phone with someone today talking about. I guess Lincoln has a Rivers and Ponds Committee that we thought would be a good fit for us to have a conversation with. So I would love to do that. Yeah,
So just Lincoln go?
I think so. I'm trying to think if, I mean, that's all I've heard of today, that, or, no one's reached out to me to talk about it, but it's your committee. If you guys want to have, you send me, let me know if you want.
Yeah,
We can make it happen.
I mean, Tim with the Watershed Association was obviously involved with Lincolnville and a little bit of Hope on that with the lake and stuff. He has no replacement. I don't know who would be the liaison there, but that would be the perfect person to go through.
Yeah, Mickey,
Mickey Colhoun.
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
should talk.
I was thinking, I think it's April, May, the fish run. Might be an opportunity for us to go do some, like a field trip to a dam or watch the OS go up, or, I mean, that might be a great
One
one
in
for the
Warren,
events
right?
committee to take on.
No, isn't there one in Warren
Yeah.
up there, the big one?
There's
Yeah.
a
But is
few
there,
you can choose
the
from.
one in Warren, is there a fish ladder? I'm gonna have to have fish ladder. Is there a fish ladder on that one? I
I
don't
don't
think
know,
so.
I don't think so.
Damascata.
There is a Damascata.
Yeah, the Damascata one is a nice one to see.
Big one,
That-
yeah.
It does?
And then they can also talk too about the maintenance that's required in the fish dam, and that they have somebody from the electric company who helps in counting the fish and keeping it open or closed as a result. They've got an industry there. And the people were really, informative who man it as volunteers at the little shed that they have there where they sell souvenirs and whatnot. But it's informative, it's good to look at. It's, you know, a semi-natural one. And it was a, you know, basically rebuilt fish dam, a fish ladder that had dilapidated since its inception sometime in the early 1800s. But that area used to pay its widows from the Revolutionary War,
The alewives.
the alewives. So that's how there's the, you know, documented industry that occurred for some time based on that, and therefore was important to that community.
Is that Warren or Damerscott?
That's
Damerscott.
I think they gave a bushel basket of alewives to the widows in Warren too. Yeah, they all got them.
There's also the, natural spaces we could go to that don't have any dams, like a duck trap that's close by in Lincolnville, I believe. So we could check that out as well. An option. World Fish Migration Day is coming up, May 25th, so that's a nice
Put that out there
time to
again.
go, yeah. A little excited about it.
No, it's good. Let's see something. You guys wanna go up to Damascata and or Duck Trap?
Yeah, it's easy to go.
Yeah, I've been to Damerscott a couple times. It's really cool.
It's cool, very cool, yeah.
Mike Burke lives over there, so maybe he can.
Oh, really?
There you
Nice.
go.
You show us around.
Yeah. Who wants to organize that, or do you want me to?
The events committee needs something to do now.
Deb, Ray, or should we sign Rick up for it? He's on the events committee.
Sign Rick up for it. I can't right now.
Okay.
I'm just,
That's
smart.
When is the LY run?
Usually Mother's Day.
Mother's
Is
Day,
that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
which is what,
Maybe
the
that's-
4th of May,
Usually it's the second week of May.
May.
Through
I feel
the
like
end of
when the
May.
crabapple blossoms come out is when the alewives.
Oh, really?
Good marker.
Huh,
Yeah.
But that's in the,
it might be earlier.
You gotta look at
but
her.
that's in the before days.
I
Yeah.
know, it's true.
Exactly.
Who knows now?
Probably in like
Next week.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
daffodils. Yeah.
The bulbs
The
are all coming
daffodils,
out.
you just see the flowers at the library.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
blooming?
Oh,
Love
they're
it.
amazing.
That's
Right along the wall.
so
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's crazy. Logistical question. So the town would like us to move our meeting day from Tuesday. I know we keep moving rooms. It's kind of, so I think, Sophie, what I keep hearing from Janice is to try for Wednesday up here in this room at this time.
Yep.
Would that work for people?
So we're looking, the next meeting would be Wednesday, April 10th.
It's fine by me.
Is that correct?
Yes, it would be Wednesday, but I'm sorry.
Okay, no, it's fine.
Ooh, the eclipse is the
Eight.
8th. Perfect, so we can all.
Make our way back from home.
Right. Make sure you wear your glasses.
Yeah.
That works for me.
That works for me.
April 10th.
Wednesday, because you're okay, but I think Richard had a problem with it, didn't he?
Well, he's not here today, so. I mean, it's hard to make decision for people who are not here. So let's, if everybody in the room,
I'll make sure it's not a school board night. I think that
Exactly.
the school board meeting, but it was like the third Wednesday, so he was just saying as long as it's not the same day as that, but I can.
Okay, all right, okay, fine.
But maybe if his is the second Wednesday, then we can shift to the third Wednesday or something.
But that was the one option we were given, was Wednesday.
That was just one that, she said, can you move from Tuesdays to Wednesdays? And I
Okay.
said, I will check with the committee. But if there's another day that you guys would prefer. I feel like Tuesdays and
Conflict
Wednesdays,
with, something I have to work quite often.
Wednesdays,
But yeah,
second Tuesday,
So-
Wednesdays. Or just all Wednesdays.
depending. Yeah, on the situation. I can just go, I can look through and make sure,
No, I'm sorry. No, this is
it's just. Like,
what day.
I might just need to have some time, to make sure, so it's definitely the second Wednesday.
Nothing definite, but
Okay,
I think.
I mean, I'm just saying like,
Currently, we're second
It's not
Tuesday,
gonna
and they're
be-
asking if we can move to the second Wednesday.
I guess what I'm asking is sometimes we'll say, oh, we'll do the third Wednesday instead because the first is on this day and, yeah.
That's like if there's a holiday,
Yeah.
or if there was a storm and no one could get here.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just do.
All All right, we'll
It
shoot
might
for
be okay.
April
Might be
10th. I'll send some follow-up emails about if that works and
Rick's school board meeting is the third Wednesday of the month.
third Wednesday.
Yeah.
Thank you for looking that up. So we're talking about this second Wednesday. Sorry, Rick's other meeting. We're looking at Rick's calendar.
Do you foresee us, as we get closer to these dates, meeting more than once a month? Because I feel,
We don't have much time.
I know, I
Yeah.
feel like we don't have a lot
Yeah.
of months to do a lot
I
of,
think there's gonna be a lot of other meetings.
okay.
And maybe they won't be MERCAC meetings, but I think with all these other like stakeholder meetings and steering, like, we're gonna have to figure out how to fit all those in. So I think if we increase these meetings, it's gonna be really hard to schedule those meetings. And so Mike and I are gonna schedule everything out. We have a call Thursday morning to just make a schedule of all of when we should do everything. And so I think that'll inform how we move forward with these.
And-
And I think a really important, sorry, real quick, is to do our like subcommittee meeting updates or like a mid-month check-in, whether it's on Zoom real quick or via email. I think that's a way to make sure that we're all still really engaged, because I think having those subcommittee updates was really helpful for me to just like touch base.
Yeah, right, yeah, okay.
Sorry, go ahead, Forrest.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, and some of that time might not be meetings, it'll be document review. So, save some time this summer for document review, because we'll need some of it will be, a couple week turnaround, I'm sure. So, yeah. Thank you in advance.
When we're doing the stakeholder meetings, did we talk about times that's happening?
So that's one thing that I would love some input on, and Susan made a good point on, but I was talking to Mike about that those should be during the working day, in the evening, weekends, and, selfishly, I would prefer them be during the working days, because I have a family, but I know that other people have jobs and families too, and so how can we make it work for everyone? It's gonna be tricky, and so one thing that we're gonna try and do is offer a variety of different types of different times. But what do you guys, I guess, think?
And it would be sort of starting April, May, June? Okay,
Hope we might even have one at the end of March, if we can.
okay, that's what I want,
We wanted middle March, but here we are.
Oh, I'll ask a question, like for the Montgomery Dam stakeholder meeting, okay? The library is obviously a big stakeholder, and businesses and everything. For the people from the library who will be involved in that, what would be the best time?
So with that group, sorry to interrupt.
That's all right,
real
go
quick,
ahead.
but I got an email that they would be happy to meet during working hours, which is helpful. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna send a poll to them and we'll find a time. So with those type of meetings, I think I can schedule those pretty easily, because I know exactly who I'm inviting and how to
Right.
reach them and.
Right.
Typically, our board meetings are at 4 o'clock on Thursdays or
Yeah.
usually 4 o'clock on one day of the week.
I think if you're gonna
Big-
have them, I think if you're gonna have them during the workday, that's probably okay, but I would say with as much heads up as possible, because anybody who's working to get the time to do that. A lot of people can't do that sort of on the fly, so.
Right.
The other, if it's on Zoom, perhaps it can be taped.
Yeah.
So that people can see that.
But I mean, for like downtown, the Montgomery Dam area and everything, there's a lot of stakeholders who are business owners and working during the
Totally.
day.
I think with the
Exactly.
business owners, that's again, so those meetings I'm not as concerned scheduling, so those we'll do like very targeted outreach, like it might just, like very targeted outreach, like we might just go have a meeting with a business owner, with that business owner at their convenience. Cause we wanna make sure that we're capturing those conversations and making sure that we're hearing them.
Are you gonna take a committee member with you when you do that?
Yeah, so that's what I was
Okay.
saying is like, maybe with Tyler or, cause he and I talked about it last week.
Right,
But
right.
maybe-
Like a breakfast meeting or something
Yeah,
like that.
exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And with Mike Burke and Matt Bernier, maybe someone from the select board, Tom Hedstrom offered because he has the relationship with a lot of them to help.
Because you have a
They'll
lot,
do this
you have a lot of business owners that are right there on the river,
Mm-hmm.
not the ones, I mean, the ones obviously who are sitting right above the dam, but back from that
Right,
too.
right.
The people at the leather bench, the
Yeah.
Dicky with the hotel, and they all have to be included in
Absolutely.
this.
Yeah.
And I think there are other ones who are on Main Street there who are going to have some input into this, even if they may not have their feet right in the river.
Yeah, no,
Sure.
we fully agree, and
And I think it would be, you know, Bill Bill's irresponsible if we exclude that.
yeah, no, it's not the vision. So.
Yeah.
I don't think we're trying to exclude anyone, Ray, really frankly. We're trying to speak to as many people as we can. So, you know, sometimes we'll do our very best. I know Bina and Forrest will do, and Mike will do the very best to reach out to as many people as we want, but please don't say that we're excluding people, Ray.
Yeah, good.
Not our intention.
it would be really hard for me to make a workday thing unless it's after 3.
Yeah.
3:30.
Yeah.
No stone left unturned, right?
No stone left.
There you go.
That's our motto. We'll stick with it.
All right.
Okay.
Anything else from anyone else, or should we open it up to our friends in the room and on the phone?
Yeah, sure.
Wednesdays actually work for me, I would.
We're
good.
All right, so we'll shoot for April
Thanks,
10th.
Brittany.
We'll shoot April
Wednesday.
10th in this room, 4 to 6,
For now.
for now. And I'll probably change.
We're flexible.
We're
Stay
so
tuned.
resilient, flexible, adaptable.
Well, thank you, everyone, because I know it matters to Janice, so I really appreciate your flexibility.
Tyler,
Any comments from members of the public that are here? Questions?
Well, I've lived on the river for 47 years.
can you say your name? Sorry. I know-
Susan Chrysler,
Chrysler.
without the H.
It's
We've lived on the river for 47 years, about, never, I remember how old Amanda is. Moved there when she was a week old. So we've seen a lot of changes, and, you know, when you're raising a family and you're doing a lot, you just don't get involved that much, and so I'm back here now, I'm alone. And I thought, what are some things I could maybe learn more about? And one thing is my river. So I went into my emails and did the keyword Megunticook River, and up popped up the newsletter, which I've never read. And I thought, well, I've come to the meeting for if you just would like to learn about, so that's why I'm here. I just want to learn all about it, what's going on. And I mean, I knew about dams and stuff like that, but I've enjoyed this very much, learning, and I appreciate being able to be here and hearing everything.
Are there any
Thank you for
particular
coming.
questions that you have?
Not yet. I'm just taking it all in. You know, you were talking about cleanup, and I used to work for and B&A Bank of America. And we used to go out as groups, as a company, in our individual departments and clean up areas on the coast every year. And so that was interesting to me. You were talking about groups going out. And kids also, you know, different kids, if there are certain areas that you can't find people that you guys can work with kids, their projects that kids can do that.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that I sort of perked up with. I just found it very interesting, and I may come again to more meetings. I wasn't quite sure what to expect, and
Yeah. We put on more fun events. Sorry you came this year.
This was perfect for me because I got to see the workings of what you got, a whole overview of everything that you guys do. And I'm understanding you are a subcommittee appointed by the selectmen.
Yeah. Susan, would you like to share with us where on the river you live?
Azalea Lane across from Start Road.
Oh, yeah.
Howard Thomas used to own that whole thing. We bought the first house that was built down there. Dottie Hokanen lives next to me. The Albrights used to live in the big white house on top, at the top of the driveway. It's a great little, there's now 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 of us on that little road.
Lovely.
Do you have any concerns about the river at the moment, or any changes that you've seen that you like or don't
No,
like?
there's so many changes. I remember when it was completely drained. And we were able to walk out and look for the watch that we maybe lost at one point. Stuff like that. No, it's just, my husband used to walk our property every day and walk up the, the streams that came down. And so he would have loved this and, looking at it. I'm always curious as about all the junk that's in the river and how is it just all naturally gets cleaned out. What do you do? Like I had a tree that fell down into the river. Is that my responsibility to get rid of it, or does it just happen naturally? And we just leave it for nature to take care of? Because my neighbor who lives right next to me said, "Can you get rid of that tree of yours?" I think it just happens.
I work with his hydrogeologist and he ends every presentation with wood is good. His whole thing is that we should have more wood in our
More
rivers
wood.
because it helps the, so anyway. You can
Well,
tell
people, they want to see pretty. We talk about cleaning up. They want to see pretty. And when you have, a forest and what we're dealing with right now with these winds and storms, I've had so many trees that have gone down.
Yeah.
And, no, it's not pretty. We swim off her dock and you look over, and actually last year I heard a lot of sort of chatter in the morning. It was going on for a long time, and I went out and looked, and there was a couple of canoes with a whole bunch of kids and one leader, and I forget where they were from. I wrote it down, but it was so interesting. They were going up and down and talking about the environment and the earth and what was going on with all this. So I documented it with a camera, like I always do, everything. But so I figure this is something that I would like to learn about. And
Well, thanks for
Good,
coming.
thank you.
For coming.
Keep staying curious.
I am.
With lots of YouTube videos.
And I'm very embarrassed to say that we used to get, I think, the newsletters in the mail and you put them there to read, and I don't know that John may have, I don't remember. But I will definitely, all of the above, the newsletter, I'm gonna go look at your Facebook page now. And the things, what else you're trying, there's a lot out there, and they're all good because people get it in different ways. Oh, Instagram is it attached to Instagram so people can see the picture?
A Facebook page, yeah.
Because I know on Facebook now you can have your own, anything you put on can go right to Instagram.
Right, yeah.
Well,
Right, yeah, so-
spread the word, thank you for coming. We really appreciate it. One of the hardest things the committee is facing is to reach people that we don't necessarily hear from often enough. So if you find the work of the committee interesting, and if you learn about it, please feel free to share it with your friends, and make sure that they also use this resource. It's designed so that everybody can access it and read the articles and watch the videos and educate themselves about fish, about dams, about invasive species, about flooding. I would be very sad if people didn't use it, because I think it's a wonderful site with a lot of information, maybe too much.
And that's one of the biggest questions I've gotten from a lot of my friends who don't live here is, am I gonna be flooded? How is that doing? How did my property do? I said, we're damned. I said that in a nice way.
Well, there's a flooding map on the website that's super.
Flooding, information, because there's a lot to do with the dams and flooding.
With the dams, so I thought, we're fine, but I just love looking out and seeing all my ducks and eagles and everything around. It's wonderful.
Send us pictures and post them on Facebook, or send them to us, and we'll put them on the Facebook page or on the.
Okay, I'll find that one with the kids. Well, actually, I can't share that, I was told, because of the kids. Yeah.
That's good. All right,
Yeah.
just in the interest of time, I'm gonna
Go ahead.
Any other
switch us
public?
along.
Yeah.
Rob,
I think you guys I'm Rob Wasserstrom with the Restore Megunticook Group. I think you guys are doing a wonderful job. I don't envy you 1 minute of it. But please keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
okay.
Thank you, Rob.
I just have a question. So come November, there could be a very heavy-duty question, which will make permanent change to Camden. And I'm looking for some clarity on the process of wording. I'm hearing conflicting things about who's going to write it and what it's going to say. And Courtney did bring it up, and it sounds to me that you have so little time and so much to do between now and then, but I would encourage you to undertake writing that recommendation sooner and getting citizen input. I don't know if that's part of the process, but it should be, so that you have some give and
That's
take.
the key part of the process, so yes. Thank you.
Right. So I'm hearing that the select board has made a format of what they expect. The town manager has made a format of what she expects, and now I'm hearing that you expect to be the people who write it, so.
We don't expect to be the people that write it. I think
No.
we're today
I can-
confirmed.
I can clarify this, Ken. The river committee will make recommendations to the select board, and then the select board will take those recommendations into account. And traditionally, it's the town attorney that crafts the language of the warrant. The select board doesn't. We just tell him we want to go in this direction. So that's how it's the division of labor between the committee, the select board, and the town attorney.
So, MRCAC role will be to present something and then refine it and then turn it over to the select board, is that?
The recommendation will go to the select board. Yes.
But what I think I hear Ken suggesting or asking is when we write the recommendation, would we submit it for public opinion or some sort of reaction and then possibly revise it? That's the question. Or are we just going to develop it and send it to the select board?
I was under the impression that public opinion part would be in the short sessions and that would be.
And over the last year and a half.
Yeah, where we would be determining and altering based on
Right,
that.
so it would reflect public opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong, but that's,
That was
Right,
my
right.
opinion.
The wording of the warrant will be crucial, so I recommend working on the precise wording as early as possible.
Yeah, and it's really up to the town attorney, not us, but yes,
We need more information before we can write it though, right? We need to know what our recommendations are.
That's why we need to do Montgomery Dam
Yeah,
first.
yeah, and what's available, what the design options are, all of that. But I agree, it's really important to get that right and make it fair.
all right, there's a lot of people online. Anyone want to say anything? Have a question? Have a comment? Jean Brewer, I think that's you, Robin Harlow, Stephen French, Tom Zummel. Right.
You?
Wow, we get 15 minutes back of our life. Amazing.
Quick, let's have a committee meeting.
Who's
Well,
our next chair? Do we know who the next vice chair
Your
is?
last name is
Smith.
Smith. So
Smith.
maybe
No.
Taylor, Seth.
Seth.
Seth, excellent.
Taylor, Rick.
Was it Rick?
No,
Rick
Excellent
is
too.
TA.
No,
That's right, so
Right.
Peter said.
Yeah.
I think the alphabet a lot these days, so. I'm pretty
Hold on.
confident. You're an expert.
Seth, are you in? Do you hear us, Seth? I think he's frozen.
He is fine.
Oh,
Yeah.
He's just freaked
Oh,
out.
he's mine.
he says, oh.
I can
Sorry.
That's what I'm always trying to say.
All right. Well, every one of my single vice chairs has been awesome, and I look forward to working with each one of you. So thank you so much. I think maybe we could have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Okay.
Excellent. Thank
Thank
you,
you, everybody.
everyone. Thank you. Have a good
you.
rest of your day.